Berserker technique players rejoice. Smilegate has heard our cries and will deliver unto us some glorious buffs for all 5 of us to enjoy. Korean PTR patch notes are out and boy are they juicy. Everyone is gushing over Blade and War Dancer, but I feel like everyone is sleeping on BT changes. Smilegate finally listened to us and sent aid in the form of packaged ramen and tap water. I'm just kidding about comparing the changes to packaged ramen and tap water, not about there only being 5 of us here in the West. Are there still even 5 of us? We have been running pretty low on copium, so I don't even know if all 5 of us are still alive. Also, disclaimer, this video might be a bit of copium too. Whatever the case, the new patches aren't that bad. But they aren't that great either. Mostly because they didn't fix the main issue with the class, which is the desync on cooldowns between Red Dust and Bloody Rush. For those new people thinking about rolling BT, please God, let there be some. Red Dust is our massive attack power steroid that lasts for 6 seconds, and Bloody Rush is our biggest nuke in Rage mode. And if you are running the Salvation set, you can fit 3 Bloody Rushes in 1 Rage mode. I'm not calling it Burst mode because that is stupid. Makes it sound like you're bursting a blood vessel, which is a metaphor for anger, but it conjures up the image of a boomer getting mad at someone saying Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. Not cool. So, it's very important for us to pair our Bloody Rushes with Red Dust. However, if you want to sync all 3 Bloody Rushes with Red Dust, you have to hold your entire rotation, which friggin' sucks and really kills our DPS. So the handful of us who stuck to BT because Mayhem is just monkey brain button smashing started parsing our Red Dust windows, meaning we sync Red Dust with only 2 Bloody Rushes and sync the last one with Stomp or did it raw. This also friggin' sucks, but not as much as the previous option. The difference in damage with and without Red Dust is very noticeable, but not as much as having to constantly hold your entire rotation. But they did give us a few changes that really got me excited about this class. The first being that they increased the Red Dust buff duration from 6 seconds to 8 seconds. This is huge. The 6 seconds made it very difficult for us to fit our rotations in the Red Dust window. The rotation according to most guide is Red Dust into Overdrive, into Finishing Strike, and finally Bloody Rush. I like to call it the Trixion rotation because it doesn't work outside of Trixion. That is because it places all the backloaded skills at the end of the rotation. Backloaded and frontloaded are terms describing multi-hitting skills. Backloaded skills are ones where majority of their damage is at the end of the skill animation. Both Finishing Strike and Bloody Rush are backloaded skills. This meant if the boss moved around and you had to spend time chasing it, you would land the hardest hitting part of your skill outside of the Red Dust window. So a lot of BT Zerkers changed the rotation to Red Dust, then Bloody Rush, then Finishing Strike, and finally Overdrive. The first hit of Overdrive is where the overwhelming majority of the skill's damage resides. So running out of Red Dust didn't affect it as much, as long as you got the first hit in. This gave you time to reposition and still maximize damage of your hardest hitting abilities. But this combination had its own issues. The reason most guides recommend the Trixion rotation is because it preserves the sync between Red Dust, Overdrive, and Finishing Strike. The cooldown on these 3 abilities lines up perfectly. So adding an ability in between any of these moves resulted in another area of desync. So when you hear BT Zerkers complaining about the desync, this is what they're talking about. However, the extra 2 seconds now allows us to do Trixion rotation outside of Trixion. This is huge because being able to do Trixion damage outside of Trixion is the reason why Slayer is top tier. Once this patch is implemented, if a boss moves or we have to move to avoid an attack, we have 2 more seconds to reposition and then continue the rotation again. It doesn't fix the Bloody Rush Red Dust sync issue, but it will make our rotations a lot more smoother and viable. The desyncing of skills really made the Zerker playstyle very clunky, and there were so many situations where a single mistake would result in the desync getting worse and worse. This also means we might be able to add Hellblade, our fourth hardest hitting move, to our rotation similar to Monkey Hand. Listen here. Before you guys start ranting about me talking smack about Mayhem, I played Monkey Hand for 8 months, so I know that all Monkey Hand players know that they are a bunch of apes smashing their keyboards without a single thought in their head. I know this because I used to be one, just a crazy chimpomaniac face rolling his entire keyboard. By switching to PT, I was able to evolve into a much higher being. I was able to become a sophisticated gorilla. Or as I like to call myself, a goristocrat. What's the difference, you ask? Well, we both will fling our feces at you, but I will dry age mine, plate it nicely, and then throw it at you at the cadence of some classical music. Anyway, what was I talking about? Ah yes, being able to add Hellblade to our red dust window. Which brings me to the second thing that got me super excited about being a proud aristocrat. They changed this stupid ass tripod that we were being forced to use. Melt was the only real damage option for Hellblade that we had, and that forced us to use the Earth Flip tripod. This meant that our Hellblade remained a holding skill, which is fine in the older raids, but considering how jumpy, teleporty, and AoE spammy the modern bosses are, it was getting really hard to get full damage out of this skill. Also, this tripod setup led to Hellblade having the most wonky ass cooldown of them all. It didn't sync up with anything. Not Red Dust, not Bloody Rush, or Finishing Strike, or Overdrive, or any other combination of skills. Hellblade was basically relegated to being a repositioning or re-engaging tool, which friggin' sucks! Because it's one of the hardest hitting and coolest looking abilities we got. Unlike Monkey Hand, whose tripod setup not only turns their Hellblade into an instant cast without sacrificing damage, it also shaved off 12 seconds from its cooldown, which resulted in Hellblade perfectly syncing up with their red dust rotation. Stupid Monkey Hand and their stupid perfect rotation. But have no fear, they deleted the stupid melt tripod and replaced it with Burst Enhancement. Similar to tripods on Overdrive and Brave Slash, Burst Enhancements gives damage similar to Melt and resets the Hellblade's cooldown on activating Rage mode. This means we no longer need to rely on multiple hits to do max damage, allowing us to switch from this stupid ass Earth Flip tripod to the really stupid good Bloody Eruption tripod. Which means that we now get to enjoy an instant Hellblade with almost the same damage as before and a 12-second cooldown reduction, similar to Monkey Hand. And most of all, it means we go from barely being able to fit 3 abilities in our Red Dust window to comfortably fitting 3 or maybe even adding in a 4th. This will also allow us to pull off tricks like, say we do Red Dust into a Finishing Strike and the boss moves at the end of the attack. Instead of wasting time chasing it down and then doing Overdrive, we can switch up the rotation with Hellblade using the jump tripod and chase down the boss without wasting any of the red dust uptime. And one more thing! This change also means the Hellblade is now a legitimate meter generator. Hellblade gives a lot of meter, but because of its long cooldown, you didn't want to use it outside of Rage mode. Once the patch is live, you will be able to generate a ton of meter and resets its cooldown as soon as you go full Angry Gorilla. I truly believe this change to the Red Dust and Hellblade will show a very noticeable difference in the smoothness of our gameplay and in our damage output especially. More so than the 20% damage buff to Overdrive and the 10% to Bloody Rush, which frankly is whatever. Sure, this also means that all the chimpomaniacs playing Monkey Hand will be able to fit all their abilities in their Red Dust rotation, but I think this will significantly close the gap between us. I do believe that very few people are talking about the potential of BT Zerker right now, because, well, like I said, there are like 5 of us left in the West. Are there even any in Korea? Russia? Anywhere? Anyway, I really think BT Zerker is being slept on. I can't wait for these patch notes to go live here in the West so I can test them out and start stealing that MVP screen from those goddamn Soulfists in Slayer. Seriously? No nerfs to Slayer? Come on! Slayer is my second favorite class, and even I realized it was a bit overtuned. Whatever. So don't despair, my fellow aristocrats. Hope is coming, and so till then, peace!